Joe Biden has officially pardoned his son Hunter. You can look at the details around what he's being pardoned over. Obviously, there were some ties to Ukraine, as well as some other very sketchy stuff that Hunter Biden did. But I'm not going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about the political strategy and some of the DC insider kind of train of thought of why Biden is now pardoning his son Hunter. First of all, let's step back. Biden has been a very interesting character. The past year, I would say that he's actually been fairly independent. Here's one thing to keep in mind. Biden was not supposed to endorse Kamala Harris, right? That was one of his biggest, most kind of independent streaks. When the Democrats decided to get him out of office and force him to resign, he was supposed to let there be an open primary, but he said, you know what? You guys are going to stab me in the back. I'll stab you in the back. So he went ahead and endorsed Kamala Harris. Second, throughout the campaign trail, it seems like he said specific things like calling Trump supporters trash or garbage, or did specific things like wearing a Trump hat to purposefully hurt Kamala Harris's campaign. So what makes Joe Biden kind of a unique figure is he is a purely political animal in it for nobody else but himself. And that's very unique and eye-opening because the majority of Americans always think that there's some big monolith puppeteer controlling everything, but that isn't always the case, and Joe Biden is a good example of that. One of the ways that the deep state probably had control over Joe Biden was his son Hunter. And you have to understand that Biden's own DOJ was going after Hunter Biden. That is not to say that his DOJ was bipartisan or really looking into the law. We know his DOJ was incredibly corrupt, but it shows you that the deep state probably wanted leverage over Biden, and they were using his son to do so. Because that's how the deep state tries to get control of people, specifically through your family. They did this with Donald Trump in the past, looking into Ivanka and Jared Kushner and maybe even his sons, and they were doing it with Biden, with specifically Hunter. If Joe Biden was going to run for president again, pardoning Hunter was a bad political move. So the fact that he didn't pardon Hunter beforehand was probably because he thought he was going to be running for president. But there's one other thing that happened which I think is really important, and that was Trump and Biden's official meeting in the White House. Now, I wish I could have been a fly on that wall. I wasn't, but I can predict that there was a lot of deal making going on between Biden and Trump about what Trump was going to do and what Biden was going to do. More than likely, Biden promised Trump that he was going to drop a lot of the charges or stop the pursuit of Trump's quote unquote criminal activity in exchange for Trump not going after Biden's family. Those are the type of deals that are made between presidents, and only presidents can really have the authority to do such things. Only presidents, for example, can pardon. So there's no doubt in my mind that actually this pardoning of Hunter Biden, although it is corrupt and he should be guilty, has more to do with insider politics about Biden being completely independent, using what power he has for his own will to obviously save his son, which from what would be jail time, to also just negotiating with Donald Trump about what they can exchange behind the scenes. Of course, a lot of this is just my perspective about what I think could have happened in the background, but when you time up the dates of when Donald Trump and Joe Biden met up in the White House and some of the subsequent actions that happened after, you can start piecing some of the puzzle together. So yes, you will see a lot of mainstream conservatives and people at large talking about how Joe Biden said he would never pardon his son and the hypocrisy of that. And of course that is true, but I believe there's always more to a story. But I don't believe Joe Biden merely pardoned his son simply because he wanted to, although that probably was a big factor. But I have no doubt in my mind that him and Donald Trump discussed various things that they were going to do and probably had an exchanges of deals that they discussed, and pardoning Hunter Biden was in that deal making. I don't know how history will remember Joe Biden, but I will certainly remember him as a very strict, self-serving political animal who was, as we found out, able to almost always get what he wants, and what he couldn't get for himself, like the 2024 presidency, he could at least keep other people from obtaining as well, like Kamala Harris.